What's going on, guys? It's PokePond back with another video for you. We've got another action-packed bumper episode for you today. We're talking everything sealed as we always do. Price analysis. Things are going mad. Evolving Skies is taking off again. Twilight's taking off. Paldea is taking off. We're going to give you all the information you need to know below to make sure that you're making the best purchases you can at the best time. Make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. Let's get into it. As always, we've got to start off the episode by talking about Destined Rivals. It's a set that everybody loves. It's a set that everybody is praying gets reprinted into the ground. To be honest, I don't see it happening personally. It's such a hype set. Even if it does get like mass waves of reprints, I don't think it's going to sit on shelves for retail for very long at all. I think as soon as people see it on shelves, they're just going to buy it out. I certainly am if I see it in the wild. Actually, weirdly, here in the UK, we saw some restocks this week of Destined Rivals booster boxes on the secondary market from some online retailers that were selling it for over market price, and people were just snapping it up straight away. So that was really interesting to see. Let's have a look then at what's going on in the charts with Destined Rivals. It's actually come down in price on the average price point a tiny bit over last week. I mean, last week we were looking at $247 on the average, and now we're looking at about $244. Really not much change, but a slight decline in price. If you're interested, I've been very vocal about what I've been buying on the channel. My goal was to put together 6 individual booster boxes to make my own case of Destined Rivals, and I wasn't in a super rush to do it. I've spread it out over from launch day to about now. I've now ordered box 5 and 6 and they're on the way. And if we take the average price point of everything I've paid under £200, which is way below market. So I'm really happy with that. There's a lot of people that said that I rushed into it too much and that I should have waited for the price to come down. And I'm telling you, you just need to broaden your horizons to the further view of what this is going to do price wise long term. Okay, I'm not buying Destined Rivals to sell it within 6 months. In 6 months time, yeah, it might be a little bit cheaper. We might get more waves of reprints. Things have settled down. We might be looking at other sets that are coming out then. But in the long run, if I'm getting it for less than £200, which is way below market now, do I think that in 2 years' time it's going to be worth more than that? Almost definitely. So that's just the way to look at things. And I'd much rather make the plays and have it now. And I've got it in my collection. I've got box 5 and 6 in the mail to me now, and it makes me so anxious when I've got like booster boxes in the mail to me. I swear that's the worst thing about the Pokemon hobby, is when you're buying a lot of stuff from online and it's the logistics of it all coming to you. Like, I'm sure when a lot of people first got into the hobby, they didn't realize quite so much they'd be dealing with their postal service, but maybe that's just my experience. I don't know. Let's have a look then. Prices have come down a tiny bit. I still think it's a really good time to buy though for the long haul. Last sold on eBay US is $237, which is still a hefty price point and way over retail for what is one of the best sets of Scarlet and Violet so far. I do think it's a good time to buy into it. That's why I've been buying into it. I do think you'll be able to get it a little bit cheaper maybe over the next couple of weeks, but there's no guarantee of that. And it's not about time in the market. You know, you might save yourself $10, $20, but you might miss the play as well equally. You know, it might go up and all of a sudden it's 250, 260, and then you really kick yourself for not picking up more at around about that 230, 240 range. That's the way I see it anyway. And if you broaden your horizons to the long haul, there's no way that in 2 years this is going to be less than that. Even if it dips down temporarily, you know, there's ebbs and flows with the market. Things go up and down, but when you straighten things out on a much longer horizon, generally things do that with sealed product, especially if it's really good sets as well. So I'm really bullish on Destined Rivals, I think it's a great set, and I'll probably buy more of it. If it reduces down in price, I'll go beyond the case. I might start putting together case number 2, although it has really hurt my wallet doing that in such a short space of time. Around about £1,200 that I've spent over the last little period on them, so that's definitely hurt the bank balance, but I'm glad that spending's done. I'm going to cool off for another week or two, just settle down, because I've been buying a lot recently. I've been buying a lot of other sealed product as well when I've seen bargains on like some sleeved products and some triple blisters and stuff like that. I picked up some cheap triple blisters of Surgeon Sparks and stuff like that. I'm going to keep that for the long haul, or I might open it. I was opening up some Temporal Forces last night. Didn't record it because I just wanted to do it personal. Had a bit of fun. Didn't pull anything amazing. I've actually got it here. I pulled 2 EXs though out of 7 sleeved packs, so it shows that I am still quite lucky, but obviously no SIRs or IRs or any big chasers like that. But I just had fun opening it, and Temporal Forces is a really nice set. I really like it, and it's quite cheap to buy and open at the moment. Anyway, let's get back on with the prices. Destined Rivals, like I said, come down a little bit in price, especially here in the UK. We were looking at average prices last week of around about the 205 range. So it's dropped down about 7 quid, 7-8 quid off of that high from last week. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. I compare both US and UK markets so that we can get a really good picture of what's going on in the global Pokemon market, because a lot of the time prices are artificially inflated and deflated depending on if there's stock sitting around or not. And generally, where our markets are different, the EU market and the US market, we have different distributors, different stock levels. We can get a fairer picture of what's going on with the set, because you might have something in stock we don't, and vice versa, and we can see how that affects your prices. And generally there's quite a lot of correlation between that, and that's why our predictions have been so accurate over the last year and a half or so. Go check the receipts if you're interested. Go back through the channel. It's really interesting to see how scarily accurate some of my predictions have become. Let's move on then to Prismatic Evolutions. Prismatic Evolutions, we called the bottom of the market here a couple of weeks ago at sub $100. We said sub $100 for Prismatic ETBs is madness. Everyone was saying no, they're doing the Costco reprints and all of that. It's going to drop way below 100. We haven't seen that. We're seeing prices maintain over that 100 mark, 105, 109, 108. There's one here for dead on 100, 99, 95. I think that's the exception to the rule. I think anything that goes sub $100 now is just going to get snapped up. Prismatic is a great set to buy into, and again at $100, $110, as long as you're doing it for the long haul and you're prepared to hold it for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, I think you'll do fine out of it. Because if it's holding this well when we're still getting waves of it coming through, and you can occasionally get like Costco deals and stuff like that, what's it going to be when it's out of print, guys? Like, let's be honest about what's going to happen here. When it's out of print in 2 years' time, what's the prices going to be like? So is it worth buying now and holding on to that till then? I think so. Last sold in the US, $96 on an auction. Buy it now, import from Canada, $108. I don't know why people do this. Pay over market for an import from another country. It's just kind of crazy. $100 dead on from a sale yesterday on a buy now as well. I think it's a good buy at that price. There's a lot of Pokemon YouTubers out there at the moment, particularly investment ones, that I think are making some pretty bold, crazy statements right now, saying that Prismatic Evolutions is going to crash into the ground and you should move everything into 151. I think that's absolutely nuts advice. Like, yes, 151 is a great set, but you should have both. Like, both of them are monsters. 151's just that little bit older, so that's why you're seeing it run up in price, but you're going to have to pay a premium for it. It's already had a run up in price, so you're going to have to pay way over double market, triple market just to get into 151 now. Prismatic Evolutions, it hasn't had that run yet. It's been inflated since it came out. This is the lowest point. I mean, 2 weeks ago was the actual lowest point. We dropped down to like $95, $94, but now it's at $100. I don't see why it's not a buy. Even if it drops down another $10, $15 at some point in the future, it's not going to stay there. It's going to bounce straight back up to $100 so quickly. 1 week, 2 weeks. I don't even think a month. I don't even think it will sit sub $100 for a month. Even if they printed it into the ground and it sit on shelves, give us Pokemon investors, Pokemon rippers, Pokemon collectors 2-3 weeks. We will buy out all of that product. I will help buy out all of that product, believe me. If I see bargains like that on Prismatic, I'm just getting the bank card out. I'm telling you, I'm swiping. Let's have a look at last sold in the UK then, £105, basically stable. It's been between 100 and 105 for over a month now, and the fact that it's holding at that price point is just kind of crazy, considering what's retail on it. What, like 55 quid or something? We're just holding at double over retail. Is that just a thing now? Like, I guess so, but it just speaks volumes to how good of a set it is. There's so much value in the English chase cards as well. The EV Alt Art Evolutions cards just hold so much value in PSA 10, even in Raw. So because there's that value, people are always going to pay $100 for an ETB for the chance at hitting $1,000 card, or a PSA 10, $2,000 Sumbreon. They're always going to buy it for $100 just to chase that. Sealed collectors are going to buy it for that price because they know it's going to go up. Like, it is just the value set. It's the value set of the era. That and 151 as well. But like I said, 151's already had a bit of a run. So, I mean, I think 151's going to do really well, but you're already having to pay in triple MSRP to get into it. So, to me, I think Prismatic is the one. I think it's time to load up on more of it. I think I'm going to buy more of it as well. I had initially like two retail ETBs, MSRP price. I sold one of them for 105. So it's nice to see that the market held at that. There was a reason for that. Some people will say I'm stupid for that. I just rolled the money into other things that helped pay for my Destined case. And it's fine to do that. It's fine to do that with your collection. It's no different to you trading cards in your collection. Okay, we're just trading up, getting something else, moving into other things, keeping the money rolling, that kind of thing, just so that it doesn't hurt your bank balance quite as much to do big goals like getting a Destined case. I think in the long run, I think a Destined case is going to do fantastic, so I'm glad I bought into it. Let's have a look then at stock levels in the US. Completely sold out on everything in the booster pack section. Not surprised, it's been that way for quite a while. Let's have a look at the Elite Trainer Box section. I haven't actually checked that, but it's going to be the same. Now, product is drip feeding into UK Pokemon Center and US Pokemon Center. Every now and again, we're getting like reprints of like Destined stuff. We're getting pre-orders of like Black Bolt, White Flare, that kind of thing. You have to basically just be set up for alerts with your email if you want to try and catch it. It's not the end of the world to try and play that game. One of the main reasons why I love sealed collecting and investing is I'm not rushed to make plays. There's so much tricky information in the hobby, okay? Everyone who makes videos, myself included, about sets and about Pokemon are always telling you where the deals are, what to buy, that kind of thing, when to buy. Oh, you got to buy into this now, this is low now, and I say it as well. But the thing is to remember is if you're always consuming content like that that's telling you to buy this now, buy that now, it's very easy to get stuck in the trap where you're like, oh, I have to buy everything, I don't want to miss this play, miss that play. That's not what it's all about. Okay, I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this since the end of XY era. We're almost up to 10 years because next year is the 30th year anniversary. The last set of XY was Evolutions, which was the 20th anniversary. So we're almost at that 10-year mark of holding sealed product. And there's no rush to do anything. Like, the reason why I make these videos and show you these plays is A, so you can track the market if you already have sealed, or if you're interested in seeing what's going on in the market. B, I'm pointing out the plays if you're ready to buy today. You don't need to buy today though. I'm going to be making these videos every week. You could buy next month, But you could just keep an eye on the market. You can watch my videos once a week, keep an eye on what's going on the market, and think, oh, next payday, I might buy myself a booster box, or I might buy something smaller. I might buy a little booster bundle. All of this is just information for you. But what I urge people to do is just don't buy all the time. You don't have to. You really don't. You can just buy at your own pace. And we all have different levels of finance as well. So keep that in mind. So yeah, Pokemon Center US sold out of everything. Pokemon Center UK looks very different for a change than it previously has looked in other weeks. As most of my regular viewers will be aware, we have pretty much had booster boxes of Temporal Forces and of Paradox Rift in stock for the last 6 months or so for below retail. They've never been sold out, and they are finally gone. We have seen the end of the endless supply of EU printed Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces. We have 0 booster boxes in stock now. And in fact, we've not got much product at all. We've got Battle Academy, which is, basically like a game mainly aimed at people learning to play the TCG. We've got a Pokemon Go deck holder collection, which again no one really wants. We got an Iono milk carton, which is okay, cool, okay, decent. We've still got trick or trade packs, which no one really wants, to be honest, from Halloween 2024. And we've got a Palafin EX box, a little collection box, and that is it. It's really surprising to see that finally the UK Pokemon Center is kind of being bought out of all the good stuff. I was a little bit worried when we saw Temporal Forces and Paradox Rift on there for so long, and we were urging people that they are good buys because they were on there for below retail. They were on there for £144. Retail is like £156, I believe. So that's kind of nuts, especially when you look at what the US prices are doing when they're out of stock. So what does that mean for the market? Are we going to see a big surge up in price in Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces? Potentially. I don't think there's going to be a quick surge up. I think it's going to be a trickle, a slow build up to the top. And I think we're going to get to a stage where we're going to see the floor of the booster box market in the UK go to around about £200, which is what we saw in the US. In the US, we saw $200 as the cheapest Scarlet and Violet booster boxes that you could get on the secondary market, with most of them climbing up to around about the 260, 240 range plus. So really interesting to see that sell out. We'll keep an eye on what's going on with Temporal Forces and Paradox Rift going forward, especially if you're in the UK. Let's have a look then at Paldea Evolved. Paldea Evolved, I've been saying for the last 6 months basically that it's a good set to buy into. It's really starting to accelerate up in price. It is technically still in print, but I don't really see them printing much of it. I think as weeks go on as well, we're just getting safer and safer from a reprint. Price is just surging now, it really is. So average last week was $325, last sale $350, so up, and then $353 as well, so even more. So we're up $25 in the last week. Let's just calculate that out. What was it? 25 on 300. I should be able to do that in my head. Oh no, it's a bit more complicated. 8.3% price rise on Paldea Evolved booster boxes over the last week. Sorry if you could hear that buzzer. That is my neighbour's doorbell in the background. I do live in some flats, so it can get a little bit noisy sometimes. I've got the windows shut, so hopefully you don't hear traffic noise. It just means I'm getting super hot here while I'm doing it. But it's a sacrifice I can make for you guys. So yeah, up over 8% Paldea Evolved over the last week. I think people are starting to realise how strong this set is. The Magikarp, which has become the main chase card, even though it's not an SIR, it's doing crazy things in value. In a PSA 10 now, it is now worth more than the Umbreon Alt Art or SIR from Prismatic Evolution. Trying to get my words out. And that's partly just because it's so hard to create in a PSA 10. Because it's sort of like black hollow foil. So I guess it just gets scratched or it gets printing imperfections or something like that. But Paldea Evolved is a strong set. Everyone's buying into it. Just keeps going up in price. I've got quite a bit of it actually. I'm glad I bought into it. full transparency, when the set first came out and we were seeing early pictures of what the set would be like, I didn't like it. But it's all about not trading emotionally on this stuff. I came around, the market came around, we see crazy price points. Look at this, last year, up 169% in the last year. And we're just seeing steady growth. Look, it was sat for sub-retail here, $130 for ages. This was when I wasn't sure about the set. But as soon as you start seeing data to the upside, you can't argue with the data. Paldea Evolved is a monster. The fact that it's doing numbers like this, it's doing like 350 and it's still technically in print, even though a print's like not as likely to happen. Put things into perspective. Brilliant Stars, Silver Tempest, they were struggling to break $300 a box not that long ago, a couple of months ago. You look back to like February, March time, Brilliant Stars, Silver Tempest, sub 300 a box. Just saying. Paldea Evolved still in print, starting to pull ahead, shaping up to be one of the nastiest sets. And I mean nasty in a good way. English slang. Nasty as in like filthy, like strong sets. $359 last sold in the US. I think this is interesting as well. Look at this, the Elite Trainer box. $99 on a buy it now. These boxes were sat for over a year. Over a year, these Paldea Evolved Elite Trainer boxes were sat for way below retail. I was seeing them in the UK in all sorts of shops. You know, like when you see products sit in shops that have no business selling Pokemon cards. They were in greengrocers, they were in post offices, they were in stationery shops, places that don't even normally sell Pokemon cards. They bought into this thinking that it was a hot thing, and they just sat and gathered dust for so long. To see them sell now for $100 just shows that time in the market can heal all wounds. It really can, because I'm telling you, no one wanted these. No one wanted it, myself included. I was seeing them sat with dust on them, and I was like, well, that's Shining Fates Volume 2 right there. That's going to be a terrible buy. I saw them for 25% below retail and sit there for a long time, and I didn't pull the trigger on it because I just thought, no one's going to want those. There's so many of them. They were printed into the ground as well. So to see them sell for $100 now on a buy it now is just kind of a bit crazy. But that's what happens with time in the market. Let's move on then. Last sold in the UK, 300 all in. New listing though on a buy it now. So someone just did a quick dump for $2.90 plus a tenner postage, and yeah, just got bought up straight away. We can tell that because it's still got the new listing tag. Someone got a really good deal on that, because look at that, sale before it on the same day, £350, which I think is an all-time high for Paldea Evolved. I think we're at an all-time high in the US as well for it at 360. That's got to be an all-time high, right? 330, another one, look, bought out instantly, 330. 330 best offer accepted. 250. What's that 250 all about? That's so cheap. Someone just did a dump there. I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with it. I don't know. You have to be careful. Sometimes you get odd cheap ones pop up. Maybe it was a listing error. Maybe they meant to put it up for 350. Maybe it doesn't actually ship. Who knows? Let's have a look then at 151. We've been talking a little bit about 151 earlier on in the episode. The Elite Trainer box is just a bit of a monster, to be honest. I do want to buy one. As you might be able to see on the shelf behind me or not, I have a lot of booster bundles of 151. It's a really good way to buy into the set. I want to buy an Elite Trainer box of it because I don't own one. I've never had one. I do kind of want one. Part of not just the investor side of me, but the collector side of me wants one in my collection. They're just quite expensive right now. And I don't think they're going to get any cheaper. $242, $253. I've just got to pay up for one, basically. I mean, it's that or another booster box of Destined. I'm kind of happy with Destined right now that I've got the case. I'll wait and see if it comes down in price any more to get a cheaper one. But it was nice to do that challenge, to put together a case, because if I was just buying them separately without that plan in mind, I might have stopped at 4 or 5. And it's nice to kind of have that plan to go to 6 in my head, because now I've got 6 of them, or I've got another 2 on the way, which will make 6. Then I can kind of allow myself to then make other purchases. And it's been really nice to look at what's going on in other parts of the market while I've just been focused and honed in on this one thing and this one product. So 151 Elite Trainer Box is probably going to be a purchase that I make over the next month. I think the longer I leave it, the more it's going to cost. However, what did I say about making plays? You don't have to make plays all the time. I've spent a lot of money over the last few weeks since Destined Rivals release. I'm just cooling it off a little bit. We'll recover the finances a little bit. It's okay. We'll take a bit of a breather, and I'm happy to pay a little bit more for the Elite Trainer Box in a few weeks' time, because then I would have saved up a bit more money, that kind of thing. Okay. It's not a problem doing that. Sometimes I get comments that don't understand that mindset, and they'll message me to say that I'm stupid. I should just buy it now if I've got the money, because you'll pay more for it further down the line. Yeah, I will, but if it's still going to go up in value anyway, what does it matter? And it's all about not spending what you're comfortable spending. And I have that problem even worse than you guys, because I make these videos. So I have all this advice in my head, and I see all these plays. Like, I see plays every day. If I were to take every play every day, I'd have no money left for a new set coming out. Like Destined Rivals, I'd be broke. Some other Pokemon YouTubers are talking about this a lot more now, and I think it needs to be talked about more in our hobby, which is purchasing power. It's not all about making plays, it's about having purchasing power. And what that means is, it means sometimes cooling off and not buying stuff, so you can psychologically build up more cash in your brain that you're happy to spend, because you haven't been spending loads over the last 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Do you see what I mean? And then it spreads the cost out. Purchasing power is very important, and it's something that I struggle with, because I'm always trying to make plays, and it's really helped me starting to be a bit more mindful of that, thinking about sets that are going to come out soon, like Black Bolt White Flare. Okay, we've pre-ordered some booster bundles because we saw that it was a play. We made a play on it. We managed to get some pre-orders from Pokemon Center. We were very lucky with that. However, the rest of the set, I'm not that bothered by it. I probably will buy into it once it's been out for a year's time, or if it sits for below retail, that might be a good play as well. But once it's been out for a year, I can see more data points, then I might move into it. But I'm not in a rush to go into it like I was with Destined. I'm not super hyped about it. It's what, a Gen 5 set? Something like that? I wasn't around for Gen 5. I was around for the beginning of Pokemon because I was young. I went out of the hobby for around about that time. A lot of those Pokemon don't resonate with me, and that's part of it. It's not all about the investment for me. It's also about the collection. I collect sealed product. Investment is just a side shoot on the side of that, personally, and it helps pay for more sealed product. But I'm obsessed with sealed product. I collect sealed product. Anyway. Elite Trainer Box of 151, $242, $253. What was it at last week? Let's have a look. 245. So pretty much dead on. It's just holding on its last week, but it's still up 20% over the last 3 months. 6 months, it's up 62%. Last year, 257% up in the last 12 months. Look at this. 12 months ago, you could pick it up for $70. I wish I'd have bought some of it back then. But again, I saw it for that price. I just was buying other things at that time. Last year, I was buying into Evolving Skies and all sorts back then, and Fusion Strike and all sorts. I wanted to show you something interesting very quickly. So, I want to talk about Evolving Skies Elite Trainer boxes in the respect of, let's compare their price point to 151. So, 151 Elite Trainer box, currently at $242 average price. Technically still in print window. Unlikely to get big reprints, the Elite Trainer box, if any. $252. When Evolving Skies Elite Trainer box was $252, That was March 10th this year. Okay? That's not that long ago. That is 2.5 months? 3.5 months? March, April, May, June. 3.5 months. Three months and a week. Yeah, 3 months and a week ago, Evolving Skies Elite Trainer Box, way out of print, one of the best sets of all time, was the same price as what a 151 Elite Trainer Box is now, that's in print. What does that tell you? That can tell us a few things. One, that 151 Elite Trainer Box is overpriced. Two, that the Evolving Skies Elite Trainer Box was underpriced back then. Three, 151 Elite Trainer Box is an absolute monster and we've got a beast on our hands. I think that two of those statements are true. I don't think the 151 Elite Trainer Box is overpriced for what it is, because it's supply and demand. I think we've got a monster on our hands, and I do think that the Evolving Skies Elite Trainer Box was underpriced at the start of this year, and that's why you saw the run up in price. And now it's like $306, which is still stupid cheap for an Evolving Skies Elite Trainer Box. That is definitely a play, by the way. Anyway, 151 Elite Trainer Box, nuts that it's in print and it's that valuable. When Evolving Skies was that age, their Elite Trainer Box wasn't even close to that price. Now, you can't compare them directly because the market was at different stages. 151 is a holiday set or a special set, so it doesn't have a booster box. There are some other factors. I just thought that was a really interesting comparison that just over 2 months ago, yeah, look, March 10th, $250 for an Evolving Skies Elite Trainer Box. 151 Elite Trainer Box now, $250. Interesting. Make of that what you will. I think 151 Elite Trainer Boxes is going to be a monster investment. What's going to happen when this goes out of print officially? What happens when we start moving into the new Gen 10 era? I don't know. I really don't, but I personally think that it's going to have some crazy upward trajectory. We could see 151 Elite Trainer Box and Prismatic potentially once it gets up there in age as well. Those could be two of the best performing Elite Trainer Boxes of the modern era. It's hard to say of all eras because the older Elite Trainer Boxes, particularly the ones from like early Sun and Moon and like XY era, were a lot rarer. They weren't printed as heavy, so some of them have much higher increased value. But these modern boxes, these modern Elite Trainer Boxes that are heavy printed, like Prismatic, like 151, like Paldean Fates, like Crown Zenith, trust me, they're going to have a good couple of years. I really do think it. Right, last sold in the US, $230. Let's move on because we're jibber jabbering. Last sold in the UK, $230. I want to buy it now. New listing as well. Just bought out instantly. $230. Bang. There's one for $187, but it's got a tear in it. So, I mean, fair enough. Heavy discounted price. I would presume whoever's buying that for cheaper is going to rip that. If it's got a tear in it, personally, I wouldn't buy it. If you're going to keep it sealed for the long haul, let's have a look at Twilight Masquerade then. We keep talking about Twilight Masquerade as well. We've been saying it for a long time on the channel. Since it was below retail, we've been telling people to buy into it because it's a great set. Finally, people are starting to see sense and the market is seeing sense. Look at this steady growth over the last 3 months. It's up 30% in the last 3 months and it's starting to accelerate as well as people FOMO into it. $260 last week on the average, now $289 with sales right up there to $294, $300 a box for an imprint Twilight Masquerade. Guys, Twilight Masquerade, Paldea Evolved, they're starting to take off and they're still in print. You wait until these boxes go out of print, what they're going to do. We're going to see $500 boxes, $600 boxes, and then it's the sky's the limit. It's just going to keep compounding from there. I really do think it. It's not like you're going to see mass reprints of Twilight Masquerade now and it's going to sit on shelves. I just don't see it happening. So what were we at? We were at 268. 260 last week on the average price. 260 last week, multiple sales around the $300 mark. We'll say 290 just to be safe. So that's what, $30. 30 on 260. Being generous with the figures, that's an 11.5% price rise on Sealed Twilight Masquerade. Nuts. I'm heavy into it. Probably going to buy more into it over this next year as well. Big up Greninja. Everyone loves him. Last sold in the US, $230. Last sold in the UK, £185. Half booster boxes are a play as well. Look at this. This is well below retail for a half booster box as well. £66 with a few pound postage for 18 packs sealed. And the booster box is £186. So, I mean, that just doesn't add up. Half boxes are a play for sure. They are slightly less desirable, so you'll get less premium on it, but that price difference is crazy. Double that is what, 132? So you're seeing a 50 quid price difference. Does the full booster box have a 50 quid premium at this stage in the market? Maybe when things start to go out of print, but I don't know, half booster box would look like a play for me if you're in the EU as well. Let's have a look then at Journey Together. Journey Together chart is just completely broken on TCG Player. They keep trying to make me log in as well to see more sales data. I have logged in on the pages where the sets actually matter and we're going to do a proper analysis. The problem is this is like a new thing TCG Player are doing where they're trying to force you to have an account to see more sales data. The reason why I'm not logged in on every page is because I'm using an incognito browser. The reason behind that is because we're looking at a lot of eBay listings, and eBay, even if you're logged out of your account on your normal browser, it will still just like show your address and show your postcode up at the top right hand corner, and I don't want that for the purposes of filming. So because I'm in an incognito browser and I'm constantly going on to TCG Player with lots of tabs, it's making me try and log into every tab. Because we're not doing a massive analysis on Journey Together right now, I'm not going to log in, but you can see last sale there, 225. There's another sale there for like 230. That's actually a little bit of an increase in price over last week. It was around about the 210 to 220 range. So we're seeing around anything from like an 8 to a 12% rise in price on Journey Together over the last week, but that's because it was a bit undervalued. We were saying last week about this in a little bit more detail, that Journey Together is not the worst set of the era, and I think people's attention are just taken away on other things. That's why it was sitting around a little bit. We're at a stage in the market where the cheapest Scarlet and Violet booster boxes are like $210, the absolute cheapest. So to see Journey Together down at the bottom, like $20, oh well, there it is at 225. So that's $15 away from like the cheapest bottom of the market for Scarlet and Violet. It's not the worst set. I feel like that is a good play, and it's going to put pressure on it to the upside long term. But if you want to make a play on Journey Together sealed now, you can pick some up. It probably will get a bit cheaper, but you need to hold it for the long haul. Journey Together is one of those sets that you have to put away for 2-3 years. You buy it, you forget, you put in some storage boxes, you forget about it, you chuck it into the back of your wardrobe. That's what I'm doing with my Journey Together. Last sold in the US, $200. Look at that, $200, guys, for the non-enhanced, and $210 for the enhanced. I'd probably just pay the extra $10 and get yourself an enhanced one, because it's probably going to have more of a premium long term going forward. Last sold in the UK, 160 with some postage. That's retail. In fact, that's like £1 or £2 below retail. Yeah, that's £1 below retail. Non-enhanced version though, they're quite rare here over in the EU. I know the US is just full of them, so that's interesting. Make what you will of it. Let's talk about Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks is a bit all over the place in price at the moment. It's up, down, up, down. It's still way over retail though, and hasn't really ever settled down since release. Let's have a look at last sales. 222, 225. Last week we were looking at like 221. So it's potentially up $3, but because we're using an average price for the last price, it's kind of not. It's just stable on last week. Last sold in the US 224. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Okay, so Journey is 225, Surgeon is 224. Those are not the two worst sets of Scarlet and Violet. So why are they the cheapest? You're like, oh, okay, well, they're most recent and they're more likely to get reprints and stuff like that. Okay, but I'm going to hold it for 2 years. So then reprints become irrelevant. Do you see what I mean? Like, you just need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Surgeon Sparks for $2.25 a box is not a bad buy. Yeah, you might get cheaper in a year's time. You might get sat on shelves, but you might not as well. You might miss the play. It might just move up to like 250, 260 when people realise it's not the worst box. Make what you will of it. I'm probably going to buy some more Surgeon Sparks over the next 12 months. Last sold in the UK, nearly down to under 200 a box. 210 all in. What's that? 211 with postage for a nice minty one. Cheapest I've seen in a little while. Not too bad. I think anything sub £200 if you see it, that's a buy. I'd rather buy Surgeon Sparks for that price than Journey as well. Just my take on it. I think Surgeon's going to do quite well. I know a lot of people are comparing it to Vivid Voltage because Vivid Voltage was the Pikachu set. It got overprinted and all of that. I don't think Surgeon Sparks is the worst set. I think at the moment I'd put if you take holiday sets out of stuff, I think I'd put it like top 4 sets of Scarlet and Violet so far. Maybe top 3. And there's not that many more sets to come. Good buy in my opinion if you're holding it for the long haul. We're going to quickly have a look at Paldea and Fates. Paldea and Fates is just mad. So Paldea and Fates should have had an Elite Trainer Box reprint. I'm getting less and less likely or less and less certain that that's going to happen. And you're starting to see that reflected up in the price. In my opinion, it's got 2 of the best cards in the era. The Bubble Mew and the Dark Charizard card. I think it's going to do really well long term. Last sold $180 on the Elite Trainer Box. It's had a massive run up in price over the last couple of weeks. Last week it was at 175 on the average. Now it's like 180, 188, 188. Loads of sales for 188 actually. So what's that? 13 bucks. 13 on 175. Let's work it out. Casual 7.5% price rise over the last 7 days over an imprint Elite Trainer box that no one's talking about at the moment. Honestly, all of the speciality sets for Scarlet and Violet are absolute bangers. They really are. You got 151, Paldea and Fates, Prismatic Evolution. I think they're all going to do well long term. Last sold in the US, $114. Pokemon Center exclusive, $230. I still own one. I still own an Elite Trainer box of it. I used to have 2. I bought 2 at retail price on Amazon. I could have bought as many as I wanted, but I just bought 2 because I wasn't sure. And it was for below retail. I think I paid £40 on Amazon, which is like, what, like $50? Yeah, $50 each. Bought 2 of them. Sold 1 for a 110% profit and just rolled the money into other sealed. Kept 1 because obviously it's one of my favourite sets. And I don't like to store too many ETBs, especially if I've got doubles of stuff. So I try to not store too many ETBs just because it takes up a lot of space. I haven't got a huge amount of space. But if it's a set I like, I'll take the ETB. And yeah, if I've got doubles, if it's selling for like 100% profit, it's a no-brainer to me. I just sell it and roll it into the next thing. Let's talk about Evolving Skies then. Evolving Skies is basically at its all-time high and has been every week on week. Last week average price was $18.82, and now we're seeing multiple sales for around about that 2k mark. There's one on the 24th, there's one on the 25th for bang on 2k, 1999.99, basically 2k. That's an all-time high for Evolving Skies. Last sold on eBay is $2,000 as well. All-time high. Great to see it at that $2,000 mark. We've been calling it for a long time. Our original prediction at the start of the year was at least a $2,000 box by Christmas. We're now halfway through the year, just over halfway through the year. We're bang on. end of this weekend is exactly halfway through the year. So halfway through the year, it's hit its goal of $2,000 a box, which we called out. What's it going to hit by Christmas now? Who knows, to be honest. Possibly 3K? Possibly. It depends how fast it goes. It depends if this momentum stays up. Like, I do think long term, obviously it's going to go 6K. 6K. 3K, 4K, 5K. I do think it will do that. It's just a matter of time, and no one knows how long that's going to take. Especially with Evolving Skies, no one can predict it because it's just its own thing. You know, if you have a big market buyout, all of a sudden it's 5K in a day. Do you see what I mean? So I really don't know. I think it's still going to continue to have a good year, though. Great to see it staying at 2K. I talk a lot about psychological price points, about sets trying to break through them. $2,000 is a massive psychological price point for Evolving Skies to try and break through. If any set's going to do it, though, it's going to be Evolving Skies. I don't think it's going to have too much difficulty breaking through it. I do think it's going to bounce on the 2K mark for a little while, perhaps a month or so, and then we're going to start to see a few sales start to creep over your 2,050 and stuff like that. Interestingly, that was sold 2 days ago, that $2,000 a box. I have to go through so many other sales to get to that one, and the reason why is because I'm showing US to US. So much international arbitrage happening on Evolving Skies right now, just because the demand and the money is in the US. The US customers are buying them up. Look how many imports there are before it. Look, 1826, best offer accepted, import from Canada. Here's another one. Actually, that is US to US, actually, that one, which is $16.99, best offer accepted. So someone got a crazy deal on that one on the same day that someone else paid 2K for one. There's another Canada import on an auction, $17.27. Another import from Australia. Someone paid nearly £2 to ship it halfway around the world from Australia. Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, honestly, what are we doing? 2,000 best offer accepted, US to US. I didn't include that one because you can't tell what that sold for, but close to £2. 2,100 best offer accepted. Don't know what that sold for. That is US to US as well from yesterday. Probably sold on the £2 mark, probably like 1950 or something like that. Just really interesting to see. Let's have a look then at last sold in the UK. I'm pretty sure that's an all-time high as well, 1715. Not only is that an all-time high in the UK, I think that's an all-time high by quite a lot. I want to say the highest I've seen up to this point, I'm trying to remember from back in the channel, we must have seen one go for like 1,500 quid. And even then, that was just like a one-off. Maybe two we've seen go for like 1,500, and then it dropped right back down to like 900 quid. So to see one there on a buy it now for 17.15, that is a huge leg up in price here in the UK. And I think part of that is pressure from the international markets as well. And it's seeing the US market start to run away in price with it as well. I think that's part of it. I think Evolving Skies is going to have a really good year. Fusion Strike is holding near its all-time high. It peaked at 792. We saw a few sales for 800. And it just price corrected down to around about 750. We see a sale there from around about last week for right up there at its all-time high for 797. So in the last three sales, it's gone from pretty much its all-time high to down $50. But look at the run-up in price it had. It had a 60% run-up in price, and then it only corrected back down. How much of a correction is that? 50 on like 800. We'll do some rough maths. Oh. It corrected back 6%. So it went up like 55% and it corrected back 6%. Make what you will of that. I'm not worried about that at all. I think the fact that it didn't correct back like half of its value just shows that this is the new price now, 750. And I think you're in a basement price of Fusion Strike. I don't think it's going to get any cheaper than that. I think it's just going to keep running up in value and steadily trickling away until we get to $1,000 a box. I think it's going to struggle to break 1,000 a box. It will do, in my opinion. It's just going to take a while. It's probably going to take like a month or two of it being around that $1,000 mark once it hits there to actually break through it consistently and raise the market price for it permanently. Last sold in the US, $750. Last sold in the UK, close to 500. I think that's an all-time high as well. No, maybe we've seen one go for like 500. I think it's within £10 of an all-time high. Anyway, it's right there at its ATH. Let's have a look then at Lost Origin. Lost Origin, similar thing. Big run up in price, a little bit of a price correction. Over the last week, it's gone from like 517 to just under 500. So it's dropped down potentially another $20 last week. I think Lost Origin is a good play. I think Lost Origin is massively undervalued at the moment, especially when it was always the number 2 set. For a very long time, it was snapping at the heels of Evolving Skies as the number 2 set. Then Fusion Strike eventually overtook it. But honestly, Lost Origin and Fusion for that matter, even with these big run-ups in price, I think look cheap. I think we're going to be looking back not too long at $1,000 boxes, and we're going to be looking back to these prices now saying, oh, I wish I'd have bought in. It happens all the time in this hobby. It happened when Evolving Skies, 18 months ago, Evolving Skies ran up to $400 and then it dropped down to $350. And everyone was saying, oh, that's it. It's peaked. You know, it's done now. That's it. Evolving Skies, $350. You missed the boat. You should have sold at $400. That's what everyone was saying. All the Pokemon content creators were saying. That's when I started my channel. If you go back to my first video, I'm literally there screaming at people to buy Evolving Skies for $350 a box. Where's it at now, guys? I mean, yes, Evolving Skies is the best set of all time and the fastest growing set of all time and blah-de-blah. It's very easy in hindsight to say that, but I tell you what, everyone at the time was saying don't buy it and to dump it and to move into the next thing. You've missed your run. So many people said that when Evolving Skies was at $350 a box that you've missed your chance and it's too late. Do you know how crazy that sounds now looking back at it? And those are the same people in the comments now that are saying stuff like, oh, you sold all your Evolving Skies for $700 a box. You know, unlucky. You made a bad play on that. Yeah, but you guys all dumped it at 300. Do you know what I mean? I doubled up after you did that. It's crazy, honestly. It's so easy to look back and forget at how things were. It really is. Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, we're going to look back at them. Sub 1,000 a box. You know, 500 a box. Sub 500 a box for Lost Origin. That's going to seem mad in a year's time, 2 years' time, I guarantee it. Lost Origin is a good buy. So is Fusion, even at this price. 229. Oh, it's Spanish. I was going to say, why is that so cheap? Right, let's find last sold in the US then. 500 best offer accepted, 515 no photo, 500 best offer. So around about the 500 mark for Lost Origin. Last sold in the UK, 453. We're going to quickly go through the some of the other big sets of Sword and Shield because there's not been much change in price in these. Last week, Astral Radiance was 398. Now it's 360, 374. These are just corrected sets. We had the run up in price. Some people dump, a little bit of a price correction. But you can see on the chart here, look, it's corrected like barely anything. It's still so close to its all-time high. Okay, last sale, 360. That's a little bit lower. The 2 sales before it, they're from last week as well. Why is it not showing me more data? It's not showing me any sales past the 21st, which was over 7 days ago. Let's have a look at eBay. I'm sick of TCG Player just like having rubbish data. It always does. What were we looking at? Let's look at Lost Origin booster box. And we're going to go on sold because I'm really interested to see what price these are selling on for. Was it Lost Origin we were looking at? No, it was Astral Radiance. I apologise so much, guys. Let's do this on the fly. Radiance. Right. Oh, it's already filtered to sold because it knows I look at it so often. $224. How is it $224? That's absolutely nuts. When's the sale date? Oh, January 6th. Look at this. Filtered to ended recently. Talking about websites not working properly. eBay does this all the time as well. You filter to ended recently and then it will just randomly chuck in one from January. Let's actually find the data. Why is it so hard to find data on Astral Radiance? There we go. 339 last sold. What was its peak on TCG Player? Like 410. So it's dropped down potentially, what, like $80? $80 price correction after, how big was the run up? 266 to like 410, 140. So yeah, a bit of a price correction on there. I think it will still run up in price. I think you're just getting a discount on it while people aren't looking at it right now. That's all it is. People's attention is just not on Astral Radiance right now. Same with like Brilliant Stars. Oh look, Brilliant Stars graph is broken. Thank you, TCG Player. Let's have a look at Brilliant Stars. 412 last sold. What was it at last week? Let's have a look. Last week was around about here. 398. So potentially it's up like $14. Not too bad. Still just kind of chilling at its all-time high. Silver Tempest is actually slowly increasing in price. Even after its big run up in price, which is a positive sign for it. $356. Like, do you know how stupid all of this seems right now to me? Like, Silver Tempest at $350. We've got what? Lost Origin at, what was it? Like 400 or something? 500 for Lost Origin. Silver Tempest for, what was it? 350. It's climbing up in price. It's at an all-time high. But why is it now that my head has just price adjusted that 350 for Silver Tempest just seems stupidly cheap? Like, are we not all agreeing that when Lost Origin and Fusion Strike, these are not ifs either. I'm talking about when. When Lost Origin, when Fusion Strike smash through $1,000 a box, where's Silver Tempest going to be? Because I'll tell you what, Silver Tempest, if those sets go to 1,000, there's no way Silver Tempest is chilling at $350 or below. There's absolutely no way. It's going to 500 a box. Why would it not? It's already creeping up in price as well. So yeah, it's gone from 356 last week to 354, 356. So it's just chilling. It's chilling at an all-time high. Silver Tempest is one to watch. This just seems crazy cheap to buy into at the moment, especially when like a 151 Elite Trainer box is going for what it's going for. And then a Silver Tempest booster box out of print is only $350. It just seems crazy cheap to me. Anyway, we're going to round off the episode here. Talk about something a little bit different. We love to finish the episode by talking about something a little bit different. I'm going to talk to you today about Evolving Skies sleeved booster packs, because I'm going to talk to you about a personal story about probably one of the best investments I've ever made in the hobby, outside of buying Evolving Skies and piling in at like $300 a box and less. I bought one Evolving Skies box for $150. Okay, that's crazy. But aside that, this is one of the best investments I've ever made. And I'm not doing it as an ego flex, by all means. At the time when I was investing into this, I made a lot of mistakes as well. I've made a lot of losses on products as well. I'm still underwater on some products. I'm still underwater on Shining Fates. I've got loads of ETBs of that. If I were to sell them now, I bought them for retail when they came out. I paid over retail for them when they came out. If I were to sell them now after fees, I'd still be underwater on them years later. I bought them in like 2020. Was that the release? Something like that. So like 5 years later, I'm still underwater on that. I'm underwater on some Darkness Ablaze ETBs. I'm underwater on quite a few things. So I'm not bragging to say that, oh, you know, this is the best play I've ever made. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because this was, to me at the time, I want to explain the mindset when I was buying these. I bought these, it must have been, when I started my current job, which was about 3 years ago. About to the month, it was about 3 years ago. Evolving Skies sleeve packs I bought these for. Maybe it was way after that, actually. It might have been like a year and a half ago. Anyway, doesn't matter the time frame. What I'm talking to you about now is these were £6 a pack on eBay when you bought them in bulk from people. You know, people were selling packs of 20, packs of 30, something like that. Way after Evolving Skies went out of print, they randomly dropped a load of these sleeve packs onto Pokemon Center. Load to them. And I don't think there was a buy limit. If there was a buy limit, it was something crazy, like you could buy like 30 of them. Okay, so loads of people did. They got bought out really quickly. I didn't have much money to my name at the time. I missed the drop on Pokemon Center. They were going for retail, so they were going for like £3.50 or something, which is nuts, because Evolving Skies at that time, even though it was only like, back then it was probably like $300 a box, $400 a box, something like that. Okay, but these packs went up for retail. Loads of people scalped them and just dumped them and put them back on the market. So people were doubling up on them. They were paying $3.50. They were selling them for £6 each in bulk on eBay. At that time, I knew Evolving Skies was such a GOAT set. Everyone knew it was such a GOAT set. But I saw the big picture. I saw the big picture of it becoming a $1,000 box, $2,000 box. Because I didn't have much money, buying into sleeve packs was such a cheap way to do it. £6 a pack. And I bought off of multiple people, you know, big job lots of them. I've still got them in the back. I'm not going to dig them out because I'm not touching them. They're just sealed away, sorted. £6 a pack. I just want to show you guys what the prices are now. And it kind of shocked me because I didn't realise Evolving Skies had run up in price so much. Obviously, I've been following the booster box a lot, but I didn't realise like loose packs and sleeves. I guess it's because of the booster box as well, because, you know, that's going to pull up the pack price. Last sold in the US, $40 with postage. $34. 2 for $86. Ignore the postage because it's trying to calculate it to the EU. $86 on an auction as well. It's not even a buy it now for 2 of the worst art style on the sleeved one as well. Absolutely nuts in the UK. So let's calculate out, you know, percentage gain. 1 pack here sold. What's that? 25th. So 3 days ago, including postage, £45 for 1 pack for Evolving Skies sleeved. By the way, my LCS, I know you're watching this. I was in your store last week. You were selling these for £30 each. Either they're sold and someone got a good deal. I was going to buy them, but I didn't want to put that much money down. Or put up your prices. Because honestly, market has moved ahead of what you're selling them for. £45. Let's have a look. 45. So I paid 6 each for them. So 45 minus 6. So £39 profit divided by 6. 650% profit. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to flex on you. I'm not trying to say this is an ego thing. I got somewhat lucky, somewhat not. I knew it was the GOAT set at that point. Okay, it was out of print then. It was a surprise reprint. It's like when they brought out Cosmic Eclipse way after print, they still brought out some sealed product of it, which was really weird, and people just snapped it up and it did really well. This was a similar thing that happened with Evolving Skies, and because there were scalpers at the time, they were just, there was an unlimited amount to buy on eBay on the secondary market. People weren't picking it up because it was £6 a pack. And market the week before was £4 a pack or £5 a pack. Do you see what I mean? Even at that time, when I was so confident that it was going to do well, it still seemed risky. I was putting down £6 a pack when I didn't have much money, and I was buying hundreds of these. Okay, £600 is a lot of money to me. Even back then, it was even more money to me. The thing I'm trying to put into words here is, even though I was so confident in it back then, and it's come true and I've made a 650% investment. By the way, I haven't sold it either. They're still in the back. Okay? I'm still holding. This isn't the end of it. I'm going to ride it till it's 1,000, till I 10x on it, 20x on it. Why not? But the point I'm trying to put across is that even then, at £6 a pack, I had to really question myself. I was thinking on it for a few days. I was seeing the auctions and I was saying to myself, I need to sleep on this for 2 days. This is a lot of money to put down. Am I being stupid? And it's very easy to doubt yourself when the rest of the market doesn't see the plays that you're making. If I hadn't have made that play, if I hadn't have bought as many as I'd have bought and taken that risk, I wouldn't have made those kind of crazy gains. And they, like I said, the gains are going to be even bigger because I haven't sold them. I've still got them. I'm going to hold them. So I just thought that'd be an interesting thing to talk about. That even when the play seems like the best play ever, paying over market for something is scary no matter what. It's just my 2 cents. I thought that information might be useful for you. Anyway, guys, I've talked enough for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. It really does help me out. It helps push my videos out there further. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Subscribe down below to never miss an opportunity. I hope you all have a wonderful day and peace.